สวัสดีครับ Welcome to City Decoding and Transformation Program. My name is New Polawat Pupipat. Today we would take a closer look to the happiest country in the world according to the UN's World Happiness Report 2022, and that is Finland. Not only the happiness and the well-being of the people, but Finland's education system is known to be the best in the world as well. So that's very amazing, right? People are very happy, they have good education system, and the country is known as green country as well. The question is, how can Finland achieve all these, and what can Thailand learn from Finland? And the best person to give us all these answers is with me right now, His Excellency Yuri Yarvi Aho, the Ambassador of the Republic of Finland to Thailand. สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับ
It is our great honor to have you with us. So first of all, congratulations to your country being the happiest country in the world for 5 consecutive years. The question is, we all want to know, what is your secret? What are the reasons behind this success?
Thank you so much. And I think also we Finns, we are a little bit surprised every year. That,
Really?
Yes, indeed.
5 consecutive years already, but you're still surprised?
We're still a bit surprised that we are always at the top of the list. But on the other hand, when you start thinking about the issue, there are many things I think are functioning well in Finland, and we have to be happy about. And of course, we may look a little bit deeper into this survey as well. What are they actually looking into? So the items that they are concentrating mainly are, let's say, perception of corruption in the country, which is in Finland. Finland is one of the lowest in the world, if not the lowest, with Denmark and some others. Then generosity of people.
People are kind.
I suppose so. I suppose. Freedom to make life choices for everyone. Healthy life expectancy, so healthy life. And then social support in the country and in the systems. And then also they're looking into GDP, gross domestic product per capita index. So those are the issues they are focusing on happiness, and they are asking people whether people are content on their lives. Seems like in Finland people are. It's true. And now if I think back of our story in Finland, I think there are many issues that we have to be very happy about. We have, as you mentioned, we have good, excellent education system that also received some good marks from the international surveys. So we are very, very happy about that. And if people are happy how the education system functions and how the equality of the education system works, which means that anybody, anywhere in Finland, regardless of gender or ethnicity or geographic location, can have very good education. So that's the main aspect of the Finnish education system in one respect, that people feel equal, and they think they have an equal chance of learning things a similar way. So any school in Finland is good in that sense. And then, of course, the corruption is another thing. We don't practically have it at all. So that means that people will trust the institutions.
You are very, very lucky.
I suppose we are. And of course, it's a long creation of our public institutions in Finland, but nevertheless, the result is that they are functioning well, and the, let's say, civil servants, police officers, judiciary, they all have integrity towards the system and law, and bribes are, I've never heard that anybody would have given bribes in Finland anywhere.
Oh my goodness.
If you try to bribe somebody, you probably end up in jail or something. So probably, I mean, in any country, something might exist. It's but nobody's perfect. But compared to other countries in the world, it's very, very low, very, very low. Then of course, let's say generosity means that can you find yourself in a situation where you can get support somewhere. If you end up in trouble, you become unemployed or something happens to your health or something, can you feel that you can get support from the government, from the state, from the municipality, from relatives, family, friends, and people in Finland, they feel generally that they can find a source for help. So they can trust the system, they can trust their families, their friends, and in that sense, they probably feel that they are in quite secure place, whatever happens to them. And then, of course, quite important is the freedom to make life choices. And this comes back to the education as well. As I mentioned, if we have equality of opportunity in education, so through the system, through the education system, and through the support from the municipalities and government, people can feel that they really have a freedom to make their life choices. Mm-hmm. They can explore things themselves, and they are not stuck into a certain place or certain, let's say, even income level or certain profession. But if they have a talent and they can sort of work with themselves through the education system, then they have a chance for anything, basically. Our current Prime Minister is from a very average family background in Finland. So anybody from Finland can become a Prime Minister, President, anything.
Everybody can make their own choice.
Yes, they have a freedom to make a choice.
That's good.
But as old philosophers are saying that people have freedom of choice, but they are not free from their choices. So you have to remember that as well.
Okay.
When you select something, it will lead you to somewhere, of course. But anyhow, it's important for people to have the freedom of choice. It's so important.
Interestingly, yeah, please go on.
And then just to, of course, mention that healthy life expectancy is of course, key, that you can expect that your life will continue rather healthy, even in the old age. And you have a good, let's say, healthcare system that is supporting you from the birth till the end. So that means a lot to people, of course, and it's an important aspect of our system. So and then, of course, finally, the social support system means that if you have if you are unemployed, you get unemployment benefit, or if you are in any kinds of trouble, there's always some kind of way the municipality or school or social authorities will help you out. So in that sense, I think there's many aspects of our society which we can be happy of. So those things I think explain quite well.
And interestingly, you mentioned about the excellent education system. But is it true that students in Finland, they don't have to take standardized tests? They don't have to spend hours and hours in classroom? Is that true?
Well, partly I suppose it is. We don't have, in our primary education, we don't have standardized testing for the whole Finnish nation students at all. Instead, the system relies on teachers to evaluate their students and try to find ways to support their students and relating to their abilities and so forth.
For example?
For example, if...
How would teachers evaluate students when they don't have tests? They don't have pre-test, post-test? How will how will teachers tell the parents whether your students are doing good or bad in school?
Well, basically, in Finnish system, actually, there's a lot of trust on teachers. It's a good point. Teachers have high education. They have all master's level degrees from the universities. And so the whole system trusts the teachers quite a lot. And the teachers evaluate every year, of course, all their students. But they are not comparing. They're evaluating on the basis of national curriculum and the way the students are performing in their class, of course. But they are not comparing with other schools or in Finland. So they're just comparing their own class, basically, and how they can help each student in the class. And so they are evaluating, they're giving numbers for the students at the end of the year.
So you actually have tests, but is that for the sake of their, for the students, but not to compare with the others or in
Yes.
other schools?
There are tests, but the tests are designed by the teacher for the class only.
okay,
They are not national tests or anything like that. And we don't compare schools, we don't compare teachers.
You don't have ranking for
No,
schools?
we don't have that. We don't have that, no. So, and of course, we've sort of decided quite early on that, let's say, students in different areas might be a little bit different. So, in that sense, it's probably more healthier for the students that we look into their specific individual issues and problems, and teachers try to sort of maneuver those problems and set up a kind of teaching which responds well to this particular student group or student. So it's quite individualized in a way.
Right,
In a way, but I think it's producing quite good results. And also these days, I mean, the problem with the national standardized testing is that then teachers start teaching for the tests, and students start learning for the tests.
Exactly.
So, and they might forget on the way that they are learning for life and not for tests, national tests. So, and this is an important aspect in our culture as well, that students are not just learning things for the school, but in fact for the life itself. Therefore, for example, we have physical education is always part of our curriculum, and quite important part. And many international research have shown that, in fact, physical activity sort of helps out in also mental activity. So in that way, the students perform better when they have physical education and schools. And of course, if they have extracurriculum activities like physical education, it's even better.
So what is your suggestion to Thailand, where students, since they are really, really young, they have to go through a lot of national standardized tests, in order to be evaluated for their ability and to compare with everyone in the whole country at the same education level?
That's of course one way of doing things, but I think our way is quite useful in a way that some of the countries even in this region, like Indonesia, is picking up this kind of system where you evaluate individual students and not the whole country at one go. So become a little bit more individualized and focus a little bit more different things. And focus maybe a little bit more on learning how to learn. So, and not so much memorizing things. Not memorizing because I mean, facts are changing constantly.
Exactly.
Why would we memorize tons of facts? Because next day they are old. So they don't probably help in your life in the future. But instead, learning how to learn, and then also maybe nurturing, let's say, students' natural instinct and curiosity, and even children curiosity. Maybe that's the most important thing. That if they sort of are supported by how creative they are and how they can learn new things which they are interested in. So that nurturing may bring sort of good benefits, best of their abilities later on, and when they leave school, they are probably still interested in learning new things all the time, which we need for the rest of our lives. We need to learn new things.
Lifelong learning.
Lifelong learning. I mean, it leads to that.
Right.
But that's I think that's quite an important aspect how to learn in your life.
Could you please highlight more about creativity in your education system?
Yeah, I think creativity is one aspect of this curiosity. Once people are curious, they become creative as well. They approach issues from different angles and start using different methods how to solve issues and how to solve problems. I mean, one method which we are using in Finland is this phenomenon learning principle or method, which means that we actually bring to students, let's say, bigger phenomena like why is the sea polluted? And then they start investigating it from different sort of subject angles.
That sounds really fun.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So it's bringing up your curiosity immediately. That, okay, how can we do this together?
Right.
And they work in teams, and they learn new things together, basically, with these kind of phenomena, which are not just one issue. It's not like biology only, or mathematics only, or reading skills only,
right.
But it's many issues combined together, and then you learn these phenomena in that way. So that's quite important, and you become creative as well, solving different problems on the way with the team. So I think those are kind of future skills that we are looking into.
Besides the great happiness and good education system, Finland is also praised as a model for sustainability development. The country strikes a very good balance between economic growth and environmental sustainability. And last year, I saw in the news that Finland would like to support Thailand. The two countries would like to work together toward a circular economy. Could you please tell us more about the progress of this collaboration?
Thank you so much for bringing that up. That's very important sort of sector cooperation for us here in Thailand. Yes, indeed, we signed a memorandum of understanding on the circular economic cooperation between Thailand and Finland, and we are of course working closely and collaborating with Thai ministries on this issue. I think we both countries stand to learn from each other in circular economy. And in Thailand, there are many aspects that many of the companies, especially, are quite advanced in some way in circular economy issues, and they are very interested, which is a very good starting point. And in Finland, the circular economy has been an issue for several years already. Finland was the first country in the world to produce a kind of circular economy strategy for the country. We did that in 2016. And since then, we have been working on these issues in, let's say, government, municipal level, and also with companies producing different things for the circular economy side. So in that sense, we have some experience already, and we can try to support and help if we can in various ways. The things that we have done so far with Thailand is that we were running a series of kind of webinars and seminars on different issues. We started with let's say, industrial emissions monitoring issue, whereby all industries in Thailand should monitor their emissions to the space. And the other webinar we had was regarding non-recycled plastic waste, because there is plastic waste which is easier to recycle, but then there's another part of plastic waste which is a bit more difficult so we focused on that part.
Right.
And trying to bring some technical solutions maybe in the knowledge of Thai side. And then we know that electric cars are coming in the next couple of years or decades at least. And when we have electric cars, we will have a lot of electric vehicle batteries, used ones, that we need to recycle, not to make it waste. So that was one aspect. We had a seminar on electric vehicle battery recycling, and then we had another quite interesting one on the future sustainable industries, especially on the textile industry side. So we had good speakers from Thailand, from Finland, textile industries for sustainability in those industrial sectors. And we are trying to now planning to have a kind of a little bit high-level symposium on it's called Green Cities and Industries symposium in May.
In Thailand?
In Thailand,
wow.
Together with the Thai Minister of Industry. And we'll have good speakers from Finland and Thailand, and to compare notes and some high-level company officials and so forth. So those are quite a few issues that we are focusing at the moment. And of course, in Thailand, it always comes to my mind when in Nordic countries especially, but in Europe in general, you recycle most of your waste actually. But
You hardly see that here in Thailand.
it's a bit different here. It's a bit different.
Right.
So I think there would be a lot of things to focus on that sector as well.
Yeah, I would like to ask for your suggestions as well, because actually, Thai governments, like many governments, trying to communicate to households, people to reuse, recycle, reduce waste, but that's never happened in Thailand. I mean, how did your government communicate to the people, or how does it happen in Nordic countries and also in your country?
Sure. First of all, of course, you have to provide. In Finland, basically, the municipality provides sort of recycling sites that you can recycle things. I mean, if you don't have that, how do you expect people to recycle something? So there has to be a system in place.
Right. You cannot just tell them, but you have to provide some
provide.
mechanism.
Exactly. You have, for example, different boxes for different waste. First of all, in households and also outside the household where you pick up the waste. And then on the, let's say, recycling sites, then you need to have a separation of different waste materials. And we have cities like, for instance, city of Lahti, which is an excellent example, by the way. It was selected as a European green capital, a green city last year. And they are recycling 99% of their waste already. So landfills only get 1% of their waste.
Wow.
So which is like minimal at this point. So almost everything is recycled one way or the other.
Incredible.
So that's the aim, of course. That's the aim. Of course, Lahti has other good sort of things they have produced. For instance, they are now planning that there will be a carbon neutral city by the year 2025, which is only 3 years away now. So it will be carbon neutral, whereas Finland has promised to be committed to be carbon neutral in 2035. So a little bit time for that, but that's still a quite ambitious target. And in Lahti, of course, they started with the energy sector. This is the biggest producer of carbon dioxide in any country usually.
Right.
So they cut off the coal from the local heating production. They don't use it anymore. They use the recyclable waste, and they use bio materials, and then they use also wind power these days, and also geothermal heat from the ground. So there are many different ways you can utilize different things. And they have interesting things come up as innovation from the sort of citizens. For instance, there's the first, I think, Philharmonic Orchestra, carbon-free Philharmonic Orchestra of the city. And they have also a carbon-free ice hockey team in the town. It's quite interesting aspects how you do that. How you do that. So yeah, Lahti is a good example, and especially would be, I think, quite inspiring for cities in Thailand as well.
In terms of, for businesses and industrial level, what should be the goal for Thailand in order to move toward a more circular economy or circular green economy?
Yeah, I think Thailand has a good policy plan in this BCG model.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, it's an excellent starting point. And I think there are many Thai companies that are very interested and trying to learn as much as they can. Especially the bigger ones are very active on how to utilize sustainability issues, how to move their business towards more sustainable production and using of materials and so forth. It's not an easy issue, but I think we must and we have to do it. There's no alternative really in this planet. So, and in Finland, I think companies have realized that it's actually good business at the end of the day, because if you don't do it, sooner or later you become sort of backward-looking company, and customers are not interested anymore, and so forth. And but if you're sustainable you get a very good brand as well, which supports your business and so forth. So you are, in a way, step ahead, which you always have to be in the business life. So,
Right. So you think it's a must for all businesses to
I
move
think so.
towards sustainability?
I think so. It's really a must. And I think Thailand, many of the businesses have understood that, and they are aiming that direction. So I have a lot of hope for Thai businesses.
What about small and medium-sized enterprises? Do you think we are doing enough in Thailand to move toward the BCG economy?
Yeah, I think I suppose you're right that it might be a bit challenging for small, especially small companies, small middle-sized companies even, how to approach this issue. But they see it mainly as a cost, and they might do it only if the law says so, and they have to, and somebody is even forcing the law.
Exactly.
Then they might do it. But so in a way, I think we need both. We need also the laws, and we need somebody to inspect that they are implemented and applied by the companies. But also we need motivation for the companies. So I think also for the smaller companies, it makes sense. It makes sense at the end of the day, because I mean, circulating material and doing less emissions. Is a good business at the end of the day for everyone, and it means so much for the people in Thailand and the planet itself. So I think that will come sooner or later to every company. But I understand it's not an easy issue at all. It may take time. It doesn't come overnight. It's clear. It's clear.
Right. Not only a circular economy that both countries are working together, but also we are supporting each other in terms of digital economy as well.
Yes.
Could you please tell us more about the establishment of this collaboration?
Yes, we are planning to sign another MOU on the digital economy as well. And I mean, this is an aspect we haven't fully searched yet, what to do exactly. But as we know that the digital economy will be in our future, any case, in both countries, aim for, let's say, advanced digital societies, smart cities, and utilizing the best way the let's say technologies that are available. So in that sense, I think we can even innovate together. We can work in many ways together, trying to find let's say best ways for approaching. And I mean, many issues are relating to digital economy, but in Finland, we actually see it as a transformation towards digitalizing many of the issues in society, but at the same time doing the sustainability thing, so green transition of the society. So those two are going parallel. So possibly you can utilize digitalization in order to achieve sustainability as well. So that's one way of looking the thing. Which is of course complicated, but can be done, I suppose.
And that collaboration will be established soon between Thailand and Finland.
Yes, indeed, and we are certainly open to look into various ways how to work together in that sector. It's important. We know it's a future of both countries.
Right, and actually today we want to learn a lot from you. So my very next question is from the point of view of holistic integration in all the developments. What are Finland's models which can be adapted to Thailand?
This is also a very good question, but it's also quite difficult to answer directly because we understand it so that, of course, all countries have their, let's say, culture and their history, and their way of doing things is a bit different always.
Right.
So it's probably a bit hard to, for instance, if we're talking about education system, it's difficult to lift it up from one country and put it into another directly like that. It might not work, and probably doesn't work like that. So mainly we are looking into ways how to inspire Thai, let's say in the education sector, how to inspire Thai teachers and education experts from the Finnish system, what works in Finland. They might try to modify it a little bit here in Thailand, how it would work in Thailand, and so forth. But then, of course, it's always important in global economy to share things. We know we are a small country. We cannot survive alone in the world. We have always been open. And it's so important when you, for instance, when you think about innovation and let's say latest technologies, you need to be in touch with the laboratories and universities, research institutes around the world, and figure out where the good sort of development is going, and then do collaboration and cooperation in various ways. So, I mean, this is the issue that we have to be in touch with each other and sort of collaborate together towards the future in a way. So there might be some issues that Thailand can utilize from Finland, from the technological side, from the circular economy issues or education sector. And of course, Thai people are very happy people and smiley, so maybe all that happiness is something we can try to bring here. But yeah, I suppose then one important issue in Finnish society has always been that the society itself has a stability and trust among different stakeholders in the society. So and as I explained in the beginning, that for instance, in the education field, everyone can have a similar education from any part of Finland. So there's this equality, and people feel that they are part of the society and they have a stake in the society. So I think that's also an important aspect that could provide development for any country, anywhere in the world. But yeah, as we talked about circular economy, there might be some technical issues even we can share and look into, and Thailand can benefit definitely.
Right, and I hope that the two countries will continue to work closely together in terms of, you know, like you mentioned, circular economy, educational development. And now, may I ask about your own experience, since you have been here in Bangkok for more than a year already, is it correct?
Sure, about a year and a half,
okay.
A bit more.
What is your impression about the city Bangkok or any other cities that you've been through? What are the things that you like or something that you think that these cities should be improved?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think first of all, Thailand is a wonderful country, and I've enjoyed so much being here, and people are very, very friendly and open here, and also very interested in Finland, which is excellent for me. It makes my work much easier, of course. And Bangkok itself is a big city compared to any Finnish city. Our biggest one, Helsinki, has some 600,000-700,000 people. Bangkok has millions of people.
Like 10 million.
Yeah, 10 million, which is it's completely different size. But I mean, yeah, of course, the first thing the Nordic person here finds out is that there's no circulation of waste, which is
which is really sad.
Well, that's something I would like to see it at some point moves forward. But and then of course transport is always something. There's a lot of cars on the streets, and practically no bicycle roads. Whereas in Europe in general and in Finland as well, we have so many excellent bicycle roads. People can bicycle to work and so forth. But here it's a bit difficult. So that's one aspect that I see immediately when I come here. And of course, you have PTS and MRT, which function well, and they are excellent systems and quite new. So in that sense, there is some public transportation, but it could be, I suppose, improved and extended so that people didn't have to use always their own cars in this kind of big city. So I lived a while in London, for instance, and there everyone uses metro all the time, and basically it's quite difficult to take your car to the city center. It's a huge city, and so public transportation is so important. Also for the future, not to pollute so much the air as well.
Also, like as you mentioned, that actually education system in Finland sounds like a route for all the happiness. You know, all the level of the level of happiness in your country. So if you would like to give suggestion to people in Thailand in order to be happy, but we want to start from very good education, what would be the suggestion?
For the education system, I think we always started from the teacher. Teachers have sort of high-level education in Finland, and they are trusted by the let's say school system, by the Ministry of Education, by parents and municipalities and people in local communities. So we have placed a lot of trust on teachers actually, but that has sort of supported the way to approach the individual students and to support their learning capabilities. So I think that could be one issue that Thailand could look into, how to approach providing the teachers and supporting their work, because they are the center part in classroom, of course. And in Finnish system, they are sort of, let's say, even more like an enablers for the students to learn. So they are not necessarily teaching all the time at all, but providing the let's say tools for the students and pupils to learn themselves, which are the most important capabilities in the future for their life as well. So maybe those kind of things would be in the education system.
And actually, after listening to you, like you mentioned that one thing that Finland can do for Thailand is to inspire us, right? And you actually inspired, I think many people who watch this episode would like to make changes in our society. And how would you empower them? Because sometimes they don't have enough resources, or they might be alone in order to make changes in the society. How is it possible for them to make something, good for the society, or make the society even better?
That's a very good question, and probably I'm not capable of even giving a good answer. But I mean, we can always start from small things. I mean, we don't have to select the whole country and change the whole country at one go. Immediately, no. We can start from small things, like from one student, one classroom, one teacher. Maybe teachers can start looking into how to enable this student to learn better. So anybody can make a small difference from their part. So this is kind of, in a way, we would call it social innovation. How to socially innovate so that things become a little bit easier in local level and in any part of the society. So I suppose that's one way people could look at it. What can they do from their perspective to change a little bit things, just a little bit, and then of course discussing with colleagues and then trying to create a bigger group, and then maybe have pilot projects in different schools and here and there. Those might be things that might be useful to start with.
Right. And actually, after COVID-19 come and change a lot of things, and actually it affects like people wallet. I mean, like it affects people economically. And at the same time, the world requires us to, save the world. Environmental sustainability is something very important, but people are still don't get enough money. Do you think is it possible for Thailand and also any other countries to pay attention or do more for the earth, for the environment, while we still, starving?
Yeah, I think it is difficult to think about the environment when you think about where do you get the next day's pay. So we fully understand it's not easy at all to focus on if you don't have food in your plate, to focus on environment or other issues. So of course a priority for individual people is always to try to survive the next day and the next month or next week and so forth. But in the longer term, of course, we hope that Thailand sort of develops in a way that people have enough to support themselves, and then there's a space that we could start thinking about the environment, because at the end of the day, if the environment goes bad, it's really bad for all of us, no matter if you're poor or rich or whoever you are. Your environment is bad, then your living will be bad in that environment. So in that sense, it's an issue that concerns really everyone, regardless of wherever you come from.
Right. If the environment goes bad, it's actually maybe even worse than COVID-19.
It might be. It's true.
What about in Finland? I mean, COVID-19 has given Finland any lesson learned in terms of, management or development in your country?
I think it has. It's of course been quite a shock in the beginning, but then we've learned to deal with it in different ways, and there has been many stages, of course, on the way, like here in Thailand as well, many waves of COVID. But all in all, I think in Finland and in Nordic countries in general, let's say the mortality rate has been reasonably low, and the hospitalization as well. So the measures that we have been taking have been effective in a way. Even though we really never had lockdowns as such, but of course there were some restrictions on movement a little bit, and it's been a difficult time for many in our societies. I fully understand that. It's especially for the, let's say, restaurants and hotels and tourism sector and so forth. So I think we've learned many things in how to coordinate these kind of things and how to respond from the government level, and what we need to do in, let's say, shocks like that.
Right.
So I think it has enhanced the let's say coordination among the government itself,
Right.
With different sectors and municipalities and so forth. So that's at least in the Finnish case. And the result has been reasonably okay in Finland. Of course, it's never perfect, but I mean, now coming to the other crisis which we are having in hand at the moment, the Ukraine war. I mean, in this during the COVID time, the enhanced coordination has now brought us up very quickly on this issue, and given us tools how to approach this kind of shocks in the society. So and maybe raise the resilience of our society in difficult situations. So yeah, those things I think we've learned.
And actually, for the past year and a half, you've been here in Thailand as well. You might have witnessed the way we manage, the way we help people during the COVID-19 pandemic. What is your impression, and what do you think is the lesson learned for Thailand during the past year?
Yes. Well, I suppose in the beginning they closed the borders quite strictly, and there was the quarantine coming in and so forth. But now they've learned gradually that it's endemic illness which just have to be dealt with one way or the other, and not to close the country, because that would be so detrimental for the economy and society as a whole. So I think it's been a learning process in Thailand, like in Finland as well. So all of us, this has been quite a learning process. And of course, in the beginning there was a discussion here in Thailand that whether the vaccines came early enough or not. There was a lot of questions on that. But now I think there's a very good vaccination rate in Thailand as well. So I think Thailand has done, at the end of the day, has done a pretty good job on COVID issues as well.
Right. What about post-COVID? Any suggestion?
Post-COVID, we've been actually waiting for post-COVID to start. And the idea in Finland and in Europe has been that after the COVID, we will focus on green transition of societies and economies. But now, since the Russian aggression on Ukraine, this has changed the focus totally in Europe, at least, and many parts of the world as well. So it's a new huge shock in this sense, and I think it takes us a little bit space from anything else that we are doing at the moment. But I'm still hoping, of course, that there will be peace in Ukraine, hopefully soon, rather than late. But and we need to come back to focus on sustainability and green issues as well,
Right.
quite soon. But the European Commission and also Finnish government have made plans already for the green transition after the COVID, and what do we do after that? So that's one thing. And of course, we've learned a lot about pandemics, and this is, I think, useful in the future. So this might not be the last pandemic we'll face.
Last but not least, my very last question. You actually inspire us a lot. And what will be your advice for people who want to make cities in Thailand to be a better place?
Yes, indeed. I think it would be a very good starting point from the cities and municipalities to start thinking how to make the cities or municipalities sustainable, and how to bring, let's say, equal opportunities in education in local level, and how to take different, let's say, stakeholders and people in this local community to be part of the development of the local level. So those kind of issues would be useful, I think, to think of when you give people a stake in the development, they become innovative, and you have a resource. You have quite a resource on different ideas and issues, and then at the same time you motivate them to work towards the same goal as you have. So, I mean, those things might be important in the local level, I think.
We have learned a lot from His Excellency, so thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for your time and knowledge. And we hope that the two countries, Finland and Thailand, will continue to work together towards a more environmental sustainability and also economic growth. Thank you so much for joining once again.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you. Kapun kap.
ครับผม And that concludes today's edition of City Decoding and Transformation. See you again next time. สวัสดีครับ